Before numbers, your age had no number. No birthday candle told you what changed. No document recorded your first breath. No one asked whether you were 37, yet everyone knew who you were. They knew whether you were a child. They knew whether you could hunt. They knew whether you could carry water. They knew whether your advice mattered. Ancient humans survived without knowing exact ages because exact ages were rarely necessary. A life was measured through change. Teeth appeared, bodies grew, voices deepened, skills accumulated, children arrived, hair turned gray, scars became history. The group watched every transformation. Your age lived inside other people's memories. That sounds vague to us. To them, it was often enough. Imagine waking in a small prehistoric camp. You do not know the year, you do not know the month, you do not know your birthday, you know the rains came after your birth, you know your mother carried you during a harsh winter, you know the oldest hunter still walked then, you know a famous fire destroyed the eastern shelter. Those events locate you in time, not with a number, with a story. Could a story replace a birth certificate? For most of human history, it did. Exact numerical age depends on several inventions. You need reliable counting. You need calendars that repeat consistently. You need records that survive. You need officials who care. You also need a reason to distinguish 36 from 37. Mobile hunter-gatherers usually had no archive room. Paper did not exist. Writing did not exist. Even permanent settlements appeared very late. Homo sapiens has existed for roughly 300,000 years. Writing appeared only around 5,000 years ago. State birth registration is far newer. The numerical age printed on your identity card is not timeless human knowledge. It is administrative technology. Ancient people still understood time. They watched lunar cycles. They tracked animal migrations. They noticed flowering plants. They anticipated dry seasons. They remembered winters, floods, fires, and famines. But those systems measured the world more easily than individuals. The moon returns visibly. A person changes gradually. Nobody wakes looking 1 year older. The boundary is invented. A birthday divides continuous growth into boxes. Ancient life usually cared more about thresholds. Can this child walk safely? Can this teenager control a spear? Can this adult endure a long journey? Can this elder remember the old water route? Those questions shaped survival. A precise age often did not. Anthropologists call these categories age grades or life stages. Different societies organize them differently. Some use childhood, youth, adulthood, parenthood, and elderhood. Others create named stages tied to ceremonies. A person moves when the community recognizes change. The transition may follow puberty. It may follow marriage. It may follow a first successful hunt. It may follow the birth of a child. It may follow acceptance into a ritual group. Your social age can differ from your biological age. That remains true today. A 16-year-old parent may carry adult responsibilities. A 40-year-old apprentice may still be socially junior. Ancient communities understood this without formal theory. They judged capacity, obligation, and experience. Why count years when bodies and duties already announce change? Childhood was the first clock. A newborn required constant care. An infant could not travel alone. A toddler followed adults slowly. An older child gathered small foods. They learned tool materials. They watched dangerous animals. They practiced throwing. They carried messages. Each skill marked movement through life. Human childhood is unusually long. Barry Bogin, an anthropologist of human growth, emphasized that humans have extended juvenile stages. Children remain dependent for years. But dependence is not uselessness. Hunter-gatherer children often contribute gradually. They collect fruit. They dig small tubers. They care for younger siblings. They learn landscapes through play. Competence grows before full size arrives. The group does not need a calendar to see that. It sees what the child can do. Teeth also provided visible information. Baby teeth erupt in a recognizable sequence. Permanent teeth replace them later. The first molars appear around early childhood. Third molars may emerge much later. Ancient people did not need dental charts. They could notice missing teeth, new teeth, and changing jaws. A child losing teeth clearly occupied a different stage than a nursing infant. Even today, parents remember the first tooth. They remember the first lost tooth. These events feel more real than a decimal age. Bones kept another hidden schedule. Long bones lengthened. Growth plates eventually fused. pelves changed shape, faces became more adult. Muscles thickened through use. Ancient people could not see growth plates, but they could see height, strength, balance, and coordination. They knew which children tired quickly. They knew which youths could keep pace. They knew who could climb, carry, and throw. This practical knowledge protected the group. Giving an adult task to a young child could be fatal. Waiting too long to teach could also be costly, so training followed readiness, not an official birthday. Puberty created a louder threshold. Bodies changed quickly. Hair appeared. Voices shifted. Menstruation began. Sexual interests changed social relationships. The community could not ignore these signals. In many small-scale societies, puberty became the basis for initiation. The ceremony did not celebrate a number. It recognized transformation. The person received new rules. New clothing might appear. New sleeping arrangements might begin. New food restrictions could apply. New responsibilities followed. The body announced what the calendar did not. Was this always fair? No. Visible maturity can arrive early or late. Two people with the same ability may develop differently. A small body can hide a skilled mind. A large body can hide inexperience. Ancient judgments were probably imperfect, but exact birthdays would not automatically solve those problems. Numbers do not measure wisdom. They do not measure courage. They do not measure self-control. Communities still had to watch behavior. That observation continued through adulthood. An adult was not simply someone over 18. An adult proved usefulness. They mastered tools. They knew edible plants. They understood animal tracks. They could soothe children. They followed social rules. They shared food. They recognized danger. They remembered obligations. Competence created status. So did kinship. A person might become the mother of this child. Another became the younger brother of that hunter. Someone else became the sister born after the Great Flood. Relations placed everyone inside a living timeline. Kinship can organize age without arithmetic. You know who is older because they were already walking when you were born. You know who is younger because you carried them. You know two people are close in age because they learned together. You know an elder belongs to your grandparents' generation. Genealogies create relative time. They do not need exact years. This system works especially well in small groups. Most people know one another. Births are public events. Children grow under many eyes. Nobody needs a private database. The community itself is the database. Memory is distributed across people. One aunt remembers the storm. An elder remembers the migration. A sibling remembers who was born first. Together, they reconstruct a life. What happens when memories disagree? Then age becomes negotiable. That sounds dangerous to modern ears, but many decisions did not require precision. A person was clearly young, mature, or old enough. Disagreement about 1 or 2 years changed little. Even in recent non-literate communities, exact ages are sometimes estimated later. Researchers use event calendars. They ask whether someone was born before a drought, during a war, after a famous leader died, before a road arrived. Those anchors convert stories into approximate dates. The method is imperfect, but it reveals how humans naturally organize time. We remember meaningful disruption. We forget identical seasons. A great flood becomes a timestamp. A quiet Tuesday disappears. Ancient people probably used similar anchors. A volcanic eruption, a herd collapse, a deadly winter, a successful migration, a conflict with neighbors, a strange comet, an eclipse, a major birth, a mass death. These events divided memory. They allowed people to say, "She was small then." Or, "He had not yet joined the hunters." That was often enough to compare ages. Seasonal counting may also have existed. A family might remember how many winters a child survived. Pastoralists could count calving seasons. Farmers could count harvests. Coastal groups could remember fish runs. But keeping a lifetime total is harder than it sounds. You must update the count every cycle. You must avoid losing track during migration. You must care about the total. You must transmit it accurately. Without writing, numbers blur. 5 winters can become several. 20 winters can become many. Large exact numbers are cognitively expensive. Many languages historically used small number systems for everyday life. That does not mean speakers were unintelligent. It means exact large quantities were rarely useful. Age behaves the same way. A hunter needs to know whether a child is ready. They rarely need to know whether the child is 9.4 years old. Modern institutions demand exactness because institutions manage strangers. Schools group thousands of children. Armies set eligibility rules. Courts define legal responsibility. Employers calculate retirement. Insurance companies price risk. Hospitals compare age-based probabilities. States tax, draft, and distribute benefits. Exact age solves administrative problems. A prehistoric camp contained no anonymous population. Everyone knew the person behind the decision. Rules could bend around visible reality. A physically mature youth might hunt early. An injured adult might receive lighter work. An energetic elder might remain active. A frail younger person might need protection. The group judged the whole person. That flexibility could be compassionate. It could also be biased. Familiarity does not guarantee fairness. Powerful families might win arguments. Quiet people might be underestimated. Women's work could be ignored by observers. Disabled people might be valued or excluded depending on the group. Ancient life was not automatically egalitarian, but numerical age was not the central category. Contribution mattered more. So did reputation. Reputation accumulated like invisible years. A person who survived many hunts carried authority. A healer who remembered difficult births carried authority. A skilled napper understood stone fractures. A navigator remembered distant landmarks. A storyteller preserved alliances and warnings. Their bodies might show age, but their knowledge made age socially valuable. This helps explain why older adults mattered. In 2004, Rachel Kaspari and Sang-Hee Lee analyzed fossil age distributions. They argued that adults surviving into older age became much more common in the Upper Paleolithic. Their study sparked debate about methods and interpretation, but the broader question remains important. What happens when more grandparents survive? Knowledge survives longer. Childcare expands. Food sharing becomes more stable. Stories cross additional generations. The group gains memory outside young adult bodies. Evolutionary anthropologists sometimes call this the grandmother hypothesis. Kristen Hawkes and colleagues developed influential versions of it. Post-reproductive women may increase descendant survival through food provision and care. The idea remains debated, but hunter-gatherer studies show older people can contribute substantially. They know difficult resources. They help during shortages. They care for children. They hold social knowledge. You do not need their exact birthdays to recognize their value. You need to know they have lived through many cycles. Old age itself was probably a flexible category. Gray hair offered one clue, wrinkles offered another, tooth loss, slower movement, and accumulated scars added information. But ancient people aged unevenly. Hard labor damages bodies, infection changes appearance, hunger can stunt growth, sunlight weathers skin. One person may appear older than another of the same chronological age. Modern people still make this mistake. We guess ages from faces and often fail. Imagine doing that without documents. The group would rely on history. Who remembers this person as a child? Which adults were alive at their birth? Which migration had already happened? Social memory corrected visual uncertainty. But what if someone joined from outside? A stranger had no shared childhood record. Their age would be estimated through appearance, skill, speech, and self-report. That estimate could affect status. A stranger claiming seniority might receive respect or suspicion. Age claims could become political. People could exaggerate experience. They could conceal youth. They could present themselves as older after hardship. Exact age uncertainty does not eliminate age hierarchy. It makes hierarchy more negotiable. Some societies formalize this with age sets. Age-set systems group people who pass through initiation together. East African pastoral societies provide famous recent examples. Members may belong to the same name generation even when their exact ages differ. The group advances through social roles together: warrior, junior elder, senior elder. The calendar matters less than collective passage. We should not project recent systems directly onto Paleolithic humans. Cultures change, institutions differ, but age sets demonstrate a human possibility. People can organize life stages precisely without knowing exact birth dates. Social time can replace numerical time. Ceremonies make the transition visible. They tell everyone what changed. Afterward, expectations become clear. That clarity matters in groups. Ambiguous status creates conflict. Who may speak first? Who may marry? Who owes labor? Who may carry weapons? Who leads rituals? Who disciplines children? Age categories help answer those questions. Ancient humans probably used simpler local rules. Some were spoken, some were demonstrated, some were embedded in daily practice. A child sat in one place. Hunters slept elsewhere. Parents received different obligations. Elders spoke during disputes. Life stage shaped space. You could see age in where someone belonged. Clothing and ornament may have signaled it too. Beads, pigments, scars, hairstyles, and tools can mark identity. Archaeologists sometimes interpret burial goods as signs of status or life stage. But this is difficult. A necklace may indicate age, or family, or skill, or ritual role, or personal preference. Objects do not explain themselves. Still, humans regularly use appearance to announce social categories. Ancient groups likely did the same. A newly initiated youth might wear something distinctive. A successful hunter might carry a special tool. A parent might adopt a new hairstyle. An elder might possess rare ornaments. These signals reduced confusion. They made social age visible. Burials offer another window. Children and adults are sometimes buried differently. Some children receive elaborate goods. Some adults receive almost nothing. That tells us age was not the only source of value. Kinship, circumstance, identity, and belief mattered. A newborn could hold enormous emotional significance. An elder could be buried simply. A young adult could receive weapons or ornaments. The dead remained socially categorized. But again, nobody carved an exact age. Archaeologists must estimate it. How do they do that? For children, teeth are extremely useful. Dental development follows a broadly predictable sequence. Deciduous teeth form, they erupt. Permanent teeth develop. Because teeth resist decay, they preserve age clues. Researchers compare ancient teeth with modern developmental standards. They estimate an age range, not a birthday. Bones provide additional evidence. Long bone length helps estimate juvenile age. Growth plate fusion marks later development. Different bones fuse at different times. The pelvis and skull also change, but biology varies. Nutrition matters. Disease matters. Genetics matters. Workload matters. An estimate might be 13 to 17. Not exactly 15 years, 4 months. Adults are harder. Once growth finishes, age clues become wear clues. The pubic symphysis changes surface texture. The auricular surface of the pelvis changes. Rib ends remodel. Cranial sutures may close. Teeth wear down. Bone density changes. Researchers combine indicators. In the 1920s, T. Wingate Todd developed an influential pubic symphysis method. Later, Judy Suckey and Sheila Brooks revised approaches using larger reference samples. These methods help. They are not clocks. Adult skeletal age estimates can span decades. A skeleton may be classified as 35 to 50. The person once had a name. They had jokes, grudges, skills, and memories. Science may recover only a broad age range. That limitation mirrors ancient life. Exact years disappear easily. Life stage remains visible. Even modern birth dates can be wrong. Records are lost. Calendars differ. Families misremember. Officials estimate. Refugees may receive assigned dates. Older census records often contain rounded ages. People report 30, 40, or 50 because those numbers feel plausible. Demographers call this age heaping. It reveals that exact age is culturally maintained. Without repeated documentation, precision decays. You must rehearse your age. You must update it annually. Other people must accept the same calendar. The state must preserve the record. Remove those supports, and age becomes approximate again. Hunter-gatherer demography shows why approximation is difficult. In 1979, Nancy Howell published a major study of the Dobe Kung. She reconstructed births, deaths, and ages through interviews and demographic methods. Later researchers did similar work among the Ache, Hadza, Tsimane, and other populations. They often combine genealogies, event histories, and physical assessment. The result is valuable, but it is still reconstructed. Gervin and Kaplan's 2007 cross-cultural analysis examined longevity among hunter-gatherers. They found that adulthood was not automatically brief. People surviving childhood could often live into their 60s or beyond. The myth that everyone died at 30 confuses life expectancy at birth with adult lifespan. High infant mortality lowers the average. It does not mean 30-year-olds were elderly. Ancient people saw this directly. They knew infants were vulnerable. They also knew adults who survived many seasons. They distinguished a young parent from an experienced grandparent. No spreadsheet was required. Survival itself created categories. A child who passed dangerous early years entered a safer stage. An adult who survived injury gained reputation. An elder who endured famine became a living archive. Age was not merely time passed, it was danger survived. That emotional meaning is missing from a number. 70 sounds precise. Old enough to remember the river before it changed sounds alive. Which description tells you more? For ancient communities, memory could matter more than measurement. Consider planning a migration. The oldest traveler remembers a dry season spring. A younger adult remembers the last failed route. A child remembers a berry patch near camp. Knowledge is layered by experience. Relative age helps assign trust, but exact age adds little. The elder's route is useful whether they are 62 or 67. The child's observation matters whether they are 8 or 9. Function beats precision. This also changes how identity feels. Modern people carry age as a number. We compare ourselves with timelines. Graduation by this age. Marriage by that age. Success before 30. Retirement after 60. The number becomes a judge. Ancient people faced harsh expectations too, but their clock was social and ecological. Can you contribute? Have you formed bonds? Do others trust you? Can you remember what matters? Life moved through roles, not annual deadlines. That could reduce some anxiety. It could create other pressures. A late-maturing youth might feel excluded. An infertile adult might struggle to enter expected roles. A disabled person could be misclassified. Someone without children might remain socially junior. Role-based aging can be cruel when the role is inaccessible. There was no perfect system. There was only adaptation. Birth order supplied another clock. The first child was older than the second. The second was older than the third. That simple order survived even when dates vanished. Names could preserve it. Some societies named children after sequence, season, circumstance, or relatives. A name might announce that someone arrived during rain. Another might recall twins. Another might mark a difficult birth. The name carried history each time people spoke it. Birth order also shaped responsibility. An older sibling watched younger children. A younger sibling learned from older ones. The difference might be only a few seasons, but the social distinction remained clear. Could someone forget which sibling came first? In a tiny camp, probably not easily. Many witnesses remembered the household changing. The event altered sleeping space, food sharing, and attention. A birth reorganized the group. That made it memorable. Counting itself may still have appeared in limited ways. People can tally with fingers, stones, cuts, knots, or notches. A parent could mark several winters. A ritual specialist could remember age-set sequences. A group could count moons before a ceremony. But a temporary tally is not a permanent identity system. A cord can break. A marked stick can burn. A family can migrate without carrying it. The knowledge must remain useful enough to protect. Exact age often lost that competition. Food locations mattered more. Kinship mattered more. Debts mattered more. Dangerous animals mattered more. The mind preserves what survival repeatedly demands. This does not mean ancient people were careless about time. They could be extraordinarily precise about seasons. A flowering tree might signal hidden tubers. A bird call might announce migrating herds. The angle of sunrise could predict weather change. Moonlight could shape travel and hunting. Their calendar lived across the landscape. It was observed, not printed. Personal age simply occupied a different level of importance. The landscape asked, "What is happening now?" The community asked, "What can this person do now?" Both questions focused on present conditions. Modern age systems focus heavily on elapsed time. That shift changes moral decisions. A legal birthday can transform rights overnight. One day an action is forbidden. The next day it becomes permitted. The person may feel identical, only the number changed. Ancient transitions were usually less sudden. Growth was watched over months and seasons. Responsibility expanded gradually. A child first carried something light, then something heavier. A learner first observed a hunt, then followed at a distance. Then handled a weapon, then made decisions. The transition happened through practice. Failure revealed unreadiness. Success invited greater trust. This apprenticeship model reduced dependence on exact age. It also turned age into performance. That could motivate learning. It could also create humiliation. A person developing slowly might watch younger companions advance. Without numerical categories, comparison did not disappear. It became more personal. Everyone could see who succeeded. Everyone could remember who failed. Social memory protected identity, but it also preserved embarrassment. There was no anonymous reset. A mistake could follow someone for years, so ancient age systems carried emotional weight. They told people what others expected from them. A youth might crave recognition, an adult might fear losing ability, an elder might protect authority through memory. Life stages were practical, but never emotionally neutral. They shaped pride, shame, belonging, and fear. Even death could redefine age. A young person dying before parenthood might be remembered as unfinished. An elder dying after many descendants might represent completion. Those meanings came from social expectations, not arithmetic. A 20-year-old and a 25-year-old could share the same category. A 25-year-old parent and a childless peer might not. Chronological age flattened differences that ancient communities kept visible. Social age emphasized difference, sometimes too strongly. Neither system reveals the whole person. One measures elapsed time. The other measures recognize change. Together, they reveal something uncomfortable. Age has never been only biological. It is also a story society tells about your body. Modern society tells that story with numbers. Ancient society told it with roles. Both systems feel natural while we live inside them. Both are human inventions built around real aging. The body changes either way. The argument concerns how people interpret that change. The central fact remains. Humans survived because they did not need numerical precision for every decision. They used overlapping clues: body development, skill, kinship, memory, seasonal events, ceremony, reputation, contribution, appearance, shared history. If one clue failed, another remained. This redundancy made the system resilient. A lost count did not erase identity. A forgotten winter did not erase adulthood. A person's place lived in relationships. That may be the deepest difference. Modern age belongs to documents. Ancient age belonged to people. Your birth date now sits in databases. Their life stage sat in everyone's mind. When the group remembered you learning to walk, your childhood existed. When they remembered your first hunt, your youth existed. When children called you parent, adulthood existed. When adults sought your memory, elderhood existed. Age was not something you possessed alone. It was something the community recognized. So how did ancient humans survive without knowing their age? They watched what numbers only approximate. They watched bodies change. They watched knowledge grow. They watched responsibilities shift. They watched generations replace one another. They did not ask, "How old are you?" They asked in countless practical ways, "Who are you now?" And perhaps that question was always more important.